You're experiencing the latest in on-the-water action and current information. This is the Southwest Outdoors Report, powered by Chevy, the official truck of the outdoors.
Hello once again, everybody. After a long off season, welcome in to episode number 1 of your 2011 version of the Southwest Outdoors Report. Each week here on the show, we'll be bringing you the very latest fishing news, lake levels, water temperatures and conditions, and all the latest fishing news, beginning in Texas with the freshwater fishing reports from Brian Hughes. Brian hosts a statewide radio show on fishing on the Texas State Networks. Down on the Texas Gulf Coast, all the saltwater fishing action will be reported on by Bill Olson, who is the editor of the Texas Outdoors Journal magazine. And in Louisiana, we have Cajun Phil and Kevin. They are a dynamic duo of redfish team champions from the Redfish Cup Championship. They're also covering all the latest freshwater fishing news across the Cajun state. And up in Oklahoma, Gary Dollahan is a very experienced angler and has been on the water on all the lakes in Oklahoma for many years. Each week, I'll have the Lowrance Hot Lake of the Week, my personal pick for the hottest fishing destination for your upcoming weekend fishing trip. Right now, let's go back to the FSN studios for the Chevy Weekend Planner.
Thanks, Barry. Spring looks like it's going to get off to a great start this weekend, with peak daylight times for fishing taking place around the lunch hour. The sun will rise at 7:33 and set at 7:38, and we'll have a full moon on Saturday. Stay with us for the latest fishing updates from around the region. Up next, Brian Hughes and Bill Olson are standing by with the Texas Freshwater and Coastal Report.
The Southwest Outdoors Report, powered by Chevy, is brought to you by Chevy, the official truck of the outdoors. Quality award-winning Tracker boats, fish the finest. Lowrance, maker of the HDS, high-definition systems, and Academy, right stuff, low price, every day.
So glad you're along, everyone, for the 2011 edition of your Southwest Outdoors Report here on Fox Sports Southwest. Will be with you for the next 39 weeks, and I so much am looking forward to this time of the year. This is spring. It's the time of the year when the fishing is at its best all across our Southwest region. I love it because I'll be fishing shallow. I've got a brand new boat actually today on its maiden voyage. This is the brand new Bass Tracker Pro Angler 16, completely rigged out with Motor Guide trolling motor, 30 horsepower Mercury outboard, Lowrance electronics, carpeted, storage, live well, everything you could ask for in a compact aluminum fishing boat. You'll be seeing more of that this coming season. Now, one of the first species that gets ready to spawn each spring, and one that's easiest to catch right now, are white bass. White bass are currently moving up creeks and river systems all across our region. The water temperatures right now across our region are ranging from the mid-60s, the southern parts of Texas and Louisiana, to the mid-50s up in Oklahoma. So we have a wide range of temperatures across the region. But once that water temperature hits about 58 degrees, the white bass will begin to spawn in our creek and river systems. Right now, though, let's get to our first fishing report for this week and for the year. Here's Brian Hughes with your Lone Star Lakes in Texas.
Hi everybody, and welcome to this new season of Lone Star Lakes, this week brought to you by realrecovery.org. Now, March Madness is breaking out in Texas, and I'm not talking about basketball, I'm talking about the spawn. Bass are moving to the shallows with the males coming up first. Now there's one lake we've got to talk about, and that's O.H. Ivy, with 6 Sherrilunker bass that's over 13 pounds, 6 already caught this year. If I'm fishing O.H. Ivy, I'm looking for those small males in the shallows, and I'm going to fish out off that on the first structure 4 to 8 feet deep. I'm going to use either a Texas rigged, lizard, or crawfish, and I might even make a small Carolina rig with a 3/8 ounce sinker, about an 18-inch leader, a 2/0 or 3/0 hook, and the same lizard or crawfish. I'm going to drag that really slow because I'm looking for those big females staging, waiting to move up into those nests. Now, crappie are also moving towards the shallows, and on Cedar Creek, they're up in as little as 3 feet of water. Throw your minnows or crappie jigs up there to catch those. That's been this week's Lone Star Lakes, brought to you by Real Recovery. Now let's check in with Mr. Bill Olson. I believe he's on the coast.
Hi folks, this week's report is brought to you by Port Aransas on Mustang Island. Surrounded by pristine bays, estuaries, and the deep blue waters of the Gulf of Mexico, Port A is truly the fishing capital of Texas. Come fish, golf, and play Texas Island style. For more information, visit the website on the screen. Well, Texas coastal game fish dodged a bullet fired by Old Man Winter with those freezing temperatures back in February. Most of the fish that were impacted were forage fish with minimal impact to our game fish population. However, that's old news. And spring officially arrives this Sunday along the Texas coast. That means water temperatures are warming up, and the menacing spring winds will keep anglers guessing as to where to fish. The other influencing ingredient the next few weeks will be the spring bull tides that will begin to flood back lakes and bays. Now the pattern is pretty simple. Just go with the conditions. By that, I mean fish the cleanest water available and even fish the edge of the color change. Fish the leeward side of the spoil islands, and by all means, use the barrier islands to your benefit. Also, fish will be returning to the bays from the Gulf, so areas like the Galveston and Sabine jetties are excellent for sheepshead and drum. And don't forget the spring migration of flounder that are returning to the bays. This weekend, both Saturday and Sunday have a double tide schedule of 2 high and 2 low tides each day. I'm Bill Olson, and I'll see you on the coast.
Hey, let me take this time right here to give you a little bit of history as to what's happened with the lake conditions and the fishing around our region this winter. As you are well aware, all that time around the Super Bowl, we had some of the coldest weather we've had in our region in 20+ years. What that did was dropped our water temperatures around the region to some of the coldest readings we've seen in a long time. We had water temperatures in the 30s in parts of our region, and cold water made it all the way to the Gulf of Mexico, where some of the speckled trout and redfish got a little bit stressed because of cold water conditions in the Gulf. Now, while we've had some warmer weather over the last 2 to 3 weeks, it has not been sustained. We've still had several hard cold fronts that have come through, dropped our nighttime readings back into the 20s and 30s. And as long as that's happening, the water at depth cannot warm. So even though we've had water temperatures at the surface in the upper 50s and low 60s in our region, the deeper water, deeper than 8 to 10 feet, is still very cold, and that's going to make the spawn for most of our freshwater fish species a couple of weeks late this year. So you might be prepared for that. Up next, after the break, Gary Dollahan has our Oklahoma fishing reports on the Sooner Beach.
The Southwest Outdoors Report, powered by Chevy, is brought to you by Academy. Right stuff, low price, every day. Nitro Performance Bass Boats. Fish your best in a Nitro. Costa Del Mar Sunglasses. See what's out there. And Chevy, the official truck of the outdoors.
This is your Southwest Outdoors Report on Fox Sports Southwest. All the latest on fishing news and information from around the region that you can only get right here. Now, I mentioned earlier the white bass that are spawning right now. The next major freshwater fish species that will spawn in our region are the largemouth bass. Largemouth bass will begin to move into shallow water and make nests with the males first, followed by the larger females, when the water temperature hits about 61, 62, 63 degrees. Now, when that starts happening, your best chance to catch a big female largemouth will come on a soft plastic bait, fished shallow around structure and timber and cover along the shorelines in 3 to 5 feet of water. Some of the best bass fishing in our region so far this year, since January, has been in South Texas at Lakes Falcon and Amistad. They have both produced bass over 13 pounds donated to the Lone Star ShareLunker program. However, the hottest lake in our region so far this year has been O.H. Ivy Reservoir out near San Angelo. It is leading by far in numbers of huge trophy bass that have been donated to the ShareLunker program, with over a half dozen bass over 13 pounds and many more over 10 already caught this year. Right now though, let's check in with Gary Dollahan up in Oklahoma. Your fishing report from there called the Sooner Beat.
Hey, welcome to Oklahoma and the weekly fishing reports for the 2011 fishing season. We're happy to have you back. Let's talk first about water conditions. We really haven't had the early season rain and runoff like we've had in the past few years, so most of our lakes are either at or below normal water levels. That means being extremely careful when getting out on a body of water for the first time. Broken Bow is still down about 8 feet, Lake Eufaula is down about 4. This time of year, the early season tournaments are a good indicator as to what's going on, what you can do to go elsewhere to catch bass right now. 2 good recent tournaments, Lake Eufaula, Lake Tenkiller. Talked to a number of those anglers. They say that square-billed crankbaits run in 2 to 4 foot of water. Also dragging a soft plastic behind the hard head, and then also throwing a lipless vibrating crankbait were extremely effective in those tournaments. And Kyle Doak of Okmulgee did that on Okmulgee Lake. He was fishing a Strike King crankbait, caught a beautiful 7.9 pound largemouth. Good reports on crappie already starting too. Rock Creek, Crowder areas on Lake Eufaula going all the way down to the south extreme end of the lake. Those fish are moving in almost on a daily basis, so if you can't catch them on the bank, move out a little bit farther to the first break line, maybe 10 to 12 foot of water. They're going to be somewhere in between the 2 places. Won't be long till they're on the banks. One thing about it, you can't catch them if you don't go.
I promised you a little earlier in the show a look at the white bass spawning runs across our 4-state region, and 4 of the hottest locations where you can go and have a great chance to catch some this coming weekend. Now, here in my Bass Tracker boat, I'm using the brand new Lowrance Elite 5 DSI. We'll have much more about that unit later, but to give you a little larger picture here on the hot lake of the week this week, we'll be showing it to you on the Lowrance HDS-10. And here are the 4 locations. First of all, the Sabine River, which is above Toledo Bend Reservoir. Some of the largest white bass in our region run out of Toledo Bend and up the Sabine. Next is the Trinity River system above Lake Livingston. Some of the largest numbers of white bass every year get caught up above Lake Livingston. Next is the Brazos River system above Possum Kingdom Lake. Now the lower Brazos this year has been hurt by the golden algae bloom. Above Lakes Granbury and Whitney, the fishing is very spotty because there are a lot of dead and dying fish in those areas. But above Possum Kingdom, again, large numbers of white bass running up the Brazos. And finally, up in Oklahoma, the Cimarron River, also the Arkansas River up above Lake Keystone. Keystone is one of the best white bass fishing lakes in Oklahoma, and all those fish run up those 2 river systems every spring. So any of those 4 areas or any number of others like them will produce for the next few weekends for big spawning white bass across our region. Stay with us. When we come back, Cajun Phil and Kevin are next up with your Louisiana fishing report on the Cajun Bites.
The Southwest Outdoors Report, powered by Chevy, is brought to you by Stren, the standard of dependability, by Jean LaRue Lures and Bobby Garland Baits, quality soft plastic baits made in Oklahoma with American pride, by Chevy, the official truck of the outdoors, and Mercury Marine.
The 2011 edition of your Southwest Outdoors Report rolls on with the first airing this week. Glad to have you along as we get you ready for spring. We're talking through all of the major game fish species around the Southwest region. The third one we've not yet discussed is the crappie. I'll tell you how and where to catch crappie in the next couple of weeks coming up in just a moment. But first, I want to tell you about the 3 major ways that you can watch our show each week. The first is, of course, right here on Fox Sports Southwest. We'll be on every Thursday night at 10:30 or immediately after any live event programming that may run a little bit late. We'll always be on Saturday mornings at 8 o'clock. And the other way you can watch our show is each week on our website at southwestoutdoorsreport.com. Every weekend, the prior week's edition is up live and you can watch it 24/7 on the front page of our website. Also, I want to mention that if you always want to check the latest time schedule for our show, you can either do that at the front page of the website or at our Facebook page. And this season, we'll have lots of video and photos that you won't see on the television show that you will see on our Facebook page, and you'll always get the latest messages and all the latest video and photos right there at Facebook. Right now, let's check in with Cajun Phil and Kevin with Cajun Bites.
Hi friends, Cajun Phil here with your Fox Louisiana Outdoor Report. I tell you what, we're glad to be back on the air with y'all this year. I'll be doing most of the freshwater reports, and Captain Kevin, well, he'll be doing most of the saltwater reports. I tell you what, sometimes I'll be doing both reports, sometimes I'll be somewhere, say, like next week I'll be in Delacroix, and we'll be letting other folks tell you a little bit about what's happening in their area. Sometimes Kevin will be doing both reports, but today I just wanted to say, hey, welcome back, and I look forward to giving you the freshwater reports each and every week.
Tell you what, right now, Calcasieu Lake, got a little bit of good news and a little bit of bad news to bring you. We've been covering, a couple weeks ago, we went behind the weirs after that last good freeze we had. And we did lose quite a few redfish up in the shallow water marshes because of the freeze. Got real shallow, water froze over, and a lot of those bigger upper slot reds that were trapped back in the marsh unfortunately died. But I tell you what, out in the lake, we rode the lake, we didn't see any dead fish. Had very good redfish action along the east bank and the south bank of Big Lake on soft plastics, about 2 foot of water. Starting to be some good trout showing up. Then again, a little bit deeper, 4 to 6 foot of water over you reach that, and a few flounders starting to show up.
Next up, let's talk about crappie and catfish in our region. We mentioned that the white bass spawn first, followed by the largemouth, smallmouth, and spotted bass. And thirdly, you'll get the crappie spawn. That happens when the water temperature reaches the mid to upper 60s. They'll move in and make nests. You can catch them shallow with a slip cork, bobber, a little weight, a small hook, and either a minnow or a crappie jig. But that comes a little later. Right now, the crappie and the catfish both are still out in deep water, 15 to 30 feet deep. You can catch them off channel ledges and the mouths of creeks getting ready to move up and spawn. Now the catfish will spawn last. That won't happen until late May and early June, and we'll talk about that at a later date. But that gives you some idea of where the fish are right now for the next couple of weeks. They can be caught fish deeper for the crappie and the catfish. Stay with us. When we come back, we'll have your Ask the Pro expert answers to your fishing questions. I'll have your Whataburger Big Catch of the Week, your big fish photos, and a brand new segment called The Academy, Right Stuff, talking about the equipment you'll need.
The Southwest Outdoors Report, powered by Chevy, is brought to you by Abu Garcia for life. By Navionics, enjoy Navionics anytime, anywhere. By Whataburger, just like you like it. And by Motor Guide Trolling Motors.
Welcome back, everyone. It's time for our Ask the Pro feature. Our question this week is from Carrie in Arlington, Texas, who wants to know, do crappies spawn before or after bass? For the answer, let's ask fishing expert Wally Marshall.
The question is, does crappie spawn before or after bass? It's all on water temperature, but crappie do spawn after the bass. The bass will start moving in at about 55 degrees. The crappie are right behind them at 57 to 60 degrees.
Thanks, Wally. If you have a question for one of the pros, just visit our website at southwestoutdoorsreport.com. Click on the Ask the Pro link and send us your information. Now let's get you back to Barry for our Whataburger Big Catch of the Week.
It's time right now for this week's winner in week 1 of the Whataburger Big Catch of the Week contest. Each week, we choose one of our viewers' fish photos to use right here on the show. And congratulations this week to Dale Moore of Apache, Oklahoma. He is shown here with a gigantic 45-pound blue catfish he caught out of a lake that I don't think we've had on the show before. It's Lake Ellsworth in Oklahoma. Now, here's how you submit your big fish photo for our contest. Go to our website at top right-hand corner of the front page. You'll click to become a member of our fan club. It is free. You'll be able to send us your big fish photo via email, and we could use it right here on the Southwest Outdoors Report. When I go white bass fishing, I normally have 2 rigs set up for each trip. First of all, I have a medium action 6.5-foot spinning rod and reel. This is the brand new Abu Garcia Verdict Rod series with a medium-sized Revo spinning reel. On that, I'll rig a small jigging spoon, a little smaller than I'll use in a lake or a reservoir. Then I'll have a little lighter action 6-foot medium light spinning rod, a little smaller reel, and on that, I'll have a small crappie jig like that Bobby Garland on a pink Moglo head. I love the bright colors when I'm white bass fishing. If you'll have those 2 rigs set up, you'll have a great chance to catch white bass on your upcoming weekend fishing trip. Hey, I'm looking forward to the next 39 consecutive weeks of the very best fishing our Southwest region has to offer right here on your Southwest Outdoors Report. Now, next week, we will be on Thursday night at 10:30 p.m. or right after the Dallas Maverick post-game show if that game runs long. And as always, set your DVR for the Saturday morning airing since that time does not change. And as always, you can watch the latest episode of our program 24/7 on our website at southwestoutdoorsreport.com. And finally, don't forget to check us out on Facebook for a lot of information, videos, photos, comments, and much more that you won't see here on the television show. We'll see you next week. Until then, I'm Barry Stokes. Be safe, have fun. Bye-bye, y'all.